Television has changed the way teachers teach, governments govern, and even the way we organize the furniture in our homes. Physically, the television has transformed from a bulky box into slim digital TVs, and even more recently into cell phones, tablets, and laptops. Content-wise, television has transformed from a few shows watched by almost everybody to shows belonging to various markets and provided by various delivery systems. In this video, we're going to examine how television developed as it did. Black and white TV. Television became available in crude experimental forms in the late 1920s and was initially available only to the privileged few, with sets ranging from $200 to $600, a big amount of money in the 1930s, when the average annual salary in the US was a little over $1,300. Early receivers were a fraction of the size of modern TV sets, featuring 5, 9, or 12-inch screens. After World War II, an improved form of black and white TV broadcasting became popular in the US and Britain, and television sets became commonplace in homes, businesses, and institutions. The cultural and economic impacts of television were quick to arrive, thanks to the radio pioneers such as David Sarnoff. By the mid-1950s, television was the leading advertising medium in the United States, ahead of radio, newspapers, and magazines. The Golden Age. The 1950s proved to be the golden age of television in the US. During which the medium experienced massive growth in popularity. Mass production advances made during World War II substantially lowered the cost of purchasing a set, making television accessible to the masses. Many of the early television program formats were based on network radio shows and did not take advantage of the potential offered by the new medium. For example, newscasters simply read the news as they would have during a radio broadcast, and the network relied on newsreel companies to provide footage of news events. However, during the early 1950s, television programming began to branch out from radio broadcasting, borrowing from theater to create acclaimed dramatic anthologies and producing quality news and public affairs programs. NBC's Meet the Press, for example, went on the air in 1947 and continues today. In one of television's finest moments, CBS News correspondent Edward R. Murrow exposed Wisconsin Senator Eugene McCarthy's anti-communist crusade of the early 1950s as a campaign of half-truths, establishing TV's ability to impact the political affairs of the nation. The Golden Age died as audiences changed and ratings ruled. The broader audience didn't appreciate the highbrow drama anthologies as much as the well-educated urban early adopters had. Around the same time, advertising practices changed too. Early television programs were developed and produced by a single sponsor, and therefore the sponsor had a large amount of control over the content of the show. By increasing program lengths from the standard 15-minute radio show to 30 minutes or longer, the TV networks substantially increased advertising costs for program sponsors, making it more and more difficult for a single sponsor. As a result, the networks began to sell minute-long and later 30-second or 15-second blocks, or spots, to sponsors. Similarly, TV stations came up with lengthy shows that could be sponsored by multiple advertisers. The presence of multiple sponsors meant that no one advertiser controlled the entire program. That said, sponsors continue to influence program content indirectly by financially supporting shows they support and pulling funding from those they do not. Rating and share. The concept of computing ratings was carried over from radio to television, but the ratings as we know them today are far more sophisticated. The A.C. Nielsen Company began in 1923 as a product testing company, but soon branched into market research. In 1936, Nielsen started reporting radio ratings and was doing the same for television by 1950. A TV show's rating refers to the number of households who tuned in to watch the content, as a percentage of the entire population of TV-equipped homes. In this example, 6 households tuned to the rated Blue program out of a possible 20 TV households. Divide 6 by 20 and we get a percent, in this case 30%. So the rating of the Blue program is 30%. A second measure of television's audience is its share, which is a direct reflection of a particular show's competitive performance. Share doesn't measure viewers as a percentage of all television households, as do the ratings. Instead, the share measures a program audience as a percentage of the television sets in use at the time it airs. In this case, 10 represents the huts, or households using television. To get the audience share for the Blue program, you divide 6 into 10 and get 60%. Make no mistake, this research is worth billions of dollars. Advertising rates are based on Nielsen's data. That's why a 30-second commercial on one show might cost twice as much as a commercial on a low-rated show. Programmers also use Nielsen's data to decide which shows to keep and which to cancel. Different advertisers might be happy with high share over strong ratings, depending on what they are trying to accomplish. For example, Company A wants to introduce a new model of laptop computer nationwide. In this case, it would direct its advertising efforts to broadcasts with high national ratings over a period of several months, so it can be sure that most of the country has been exposed to its marketing message. By contrast, a supermarket may aim to draw as many customers as it can to a limited time event like a Double 11 sale. Here, the company is especially interested in shows that carry high share numbers during the field days leading up to the sales event. Even if that time period isn't one that typically corresponds to huge numbers of people watching TV, the supermarket company can still aim to reach the highest share of the population that's actually tuning in at the critical time immediately preceding its sale date. Of course, content producers love to see high numbers for both ratings and shares. And that's why the most valuable type of content is often event-driven broadcasts that could convince millions of people to turn on the TV. However, with the popularization of digital video recorders, or DVR, and streaming media services in the 21st century, the importance of TV ratings in the decision-making of television executives is significantly lessened. Let's now come back to the evolution of the television industry. As television's influence grew, its power to offend audiences and degrade culture, as well as to entertain and enlighten, became evident. For instance, many American children of the early 1950s jumped from garage roofs while attempting to imitate TV's Superman and broke their limbs. A few years later, greedy sponsors manipulated popular TV quiz shows to improve their ratings, causing a national scandal. The quality of TV programming was so poor that in 1961, FCC Chairman Newton Minow called American television a vast wasteland of mediocre, uninformative programs. Network era. The period between 1950 and 1970 is historically recognized in the US as the network era. Aside from a small portion of airtime controlled by public television, the Big Three, that is, NBC, CBS, and ABC, dominated the television industry, collectively accounting for more than 95% of primetime viewing. In 1986, Rupert Murdoch, the head of multinational company News Corp, launched the Fox network, whose success beginning from the 1990s turned the Big Three into the Big Four. A far greater challenge to network television than the emergence of smaller competitors was the increasing dominance of cable television. Between 1994 and 2009, the percentage of U.S. households watching the Big Four networks during prime time plummeted from 43% to 27%. Cable television, initially developed in the 1940s to cater to viewers in rural areas, switched its focus from local to national television, offering an extensive number of channels. Because the proliferation of cable channels provided viewers with so many choices, broadcasters began to move away from mass-oriented programming in favor of more targeted shows, whereas the broadcast networks sought to obtain the widest audience possible by avoiding programs that might only appeal to a small minority of viewers. Cable channels sought out niche audiences within specific demographic groups, a process known as narrowcasting. Narrowcasting channels usually focus on a single topic, such as news, weather, shopping, or comedy. For instance, CNN was the first all-news television channel in the US. ESPN is one of the most successful sports networks, and HBO features primarily movies and original television series. Narrowcasting has proved beneficial for advertisers and marketers who may concentrate their approach on subscription channels that appeal directly to their target consumers. In the early 21st century, the traditional analog system was replaced with digital television, giving viewers a higher quality picture and freeing up frequency space. More and more viewers have high-definition television or HD TV, which offers a crystal clear picture in widescreen to provide a cinematic experience at home. Television reflects cultural values, and it also influences culture. One example of this is the polarization of cable TV news in the US, which is no longer centrist but caters to individual political tastes. Critics argue that this influences cable news viewers' opinions and makes them less open to opposing political viewpoints. Entertainment programs also play an influential role within society. By portraying controversial relationships as acceptable, TV shows have the power to shape viewers' attitudes. In recent years, broadcasters have created the concept of the instant celebrity through the genre of reality television, which are much less expensive to produce than conventional primetime entertainment formulas. Contestants on reality TV shows now permeate every aspect of culture and the media, from the music charts to popular magazines and newspapers.